Hello, I'm Justin, and I want to help you develop your creativity. In the previous posts, I've talked about quite a number of things. We've talked about scales or keys, and playing in seconds and thirds, dealing with intervals, and then dealing with rhythmic sequences and melodic sequences, and also dealing with pentatonics, kind of the history of them, where they came from, why we've made pentatonics rather than using the whole scale. So what we're going to talk about now is one of the last things most people learn. Now, I don't really know why it's last in general that people learn them. I do know why it's last in how I teach them, the order of things that I teach. And it is because I want to take a broad view of everything, meaning the scale, so that we don't have to remember to skip so many notes. Okay? It makes it a little bit easier. And then when we go to pentatonics, what we're doing is we're throwing out two of the notes as explained before. And then when we're working with arpeggios, I like to use 4-note arpeggios. Now, quite a bit down the line, I'll explain why, how we can do different things with them and make them become other things as we learn. But I use 4-note arpeggios. Now, the basic arpeggio would be the 3 notes of a triad, or a 3-note chord. Okay? In our case here, we have the G major chord, G, B, and D. Okay? Now, this is again going to be in shape 7. Okay? So everything fits under the fingers in the same way that we've gotten used to so far. So we have G, B, and D. Now, as we continue, we'd have G, B, and D, and then G. So that's all we have here. Okay? Now, I like to use a 4-note arpeggio, which would include an F sharp, or the 7th of that chord. So I have 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay? The reason I like to do that is it makes some of the transitions to from one string to the next a little bit easier. Here it's not so bad because I would normally just start with G and move to B. But going from the D note to the G note requires a knuckle roll at least. See how that knuckle's falling down? So those can be kind of tricky. And it's kind of hard to play a fast line like that because your pick is going from here. See what I mean? So you've got to get it together there, and it takes a lot of work. So what I like to do, if we put that 7th in there, it makes it a little bit easier to make the transition. Okay, so that's why I use the 4-note ones. They seem to just roll out of the fingers a little bit easier. So I'm going to play over a G chord so that you get used to this relationship. One other thing while I'm thinking of it, most of the time when we play in pop styles like rock or country or whatever, we'll use just the simple triad version of things. Sure, we might play a big, huge voicing on it, but we're still only playing G, D, G, B, D, G. Just those 3 notes. A different arrangement or voicing of them, we could play it this way, or this way, just little bits and pieces of it. But it mostly comes from the same large shape of just 3 different notes, G, B, and D. So the inclusion of this F sharp, like we may discover when we play it over an F or a G chord, it has a good bit of tension in it. But we want to remember that music is made up of tension and relaxation of that tension, or dissonance and consonance, meaning dissonance meaning things are kind of rubbing against each other and want to go somewhere. It's inviting motion. We want to go from here to there. Okay, so it's pointing us in a direction. And when we get to that location, we have consonance, or relaxation of that tension. Okay? So that's what this system gives us. It gives us both. So that's how arpeggios work. So remember, we've covered a lot of things in the last few posts, and they are that we're playing in the scale shape 7, where we have all 7 notes of the key of G available to us in one position. And then from there, we started working on manipulating them in different ways, dealing with melodic sequences, rhythmic sequences, playing in seconds and thirds. Okay? And then also we learned how to deal with pentatonics, what they are and why we use them. Now we have arpeggios. Okay? So you can use these in everything that you play, so I'm going to play for a bit and give you a taste of how that works. So there you go. And I sincerely hope that that helps you develop your creativity.